I think getting a job is not just a skill, it's a human behavior.
It's a completely oversaturated market. It's really tough competition, and then they get really defeated.
The major part comes under resume, which I think 98% of the people, whether they are on engineering, healthcare, any blue collars, anything, I think resume is the one, is a tiebreaker or decider, major decider. Go to ChatGPT saying write a professional summary, then they go another chat like AI, which is says humanize this text, which again they're using the false structure. How come they mirror your personal intellect? They can help you to give a structure, but sometimes people do copy and paste.
I would also say on LinkedIn, putting a good photo up.
It's backed up by resume psychology. The average impressions of first 7 seconds last for the whole hiring process.
I can tell you one now. If it's over 20 pages long, that's a red flag.
98% of the company in the whole world, not just Australia, anywhere, any industry, if you are from healthcare, if you are from engineering, if you are from any blue collar job, 98% company and recruitment agencies use ATS system. Optimizing your LinkedIn is essential in this world where if people are watching from anywhere in the globe, it's necessary for all the countries. According to the psychology and neuroscience, introvert people, their thinking ability is 28% more than the rest.
Job performance. Yeah.
Exactly. There is a lieutenant general who wrote the book on, because he cracked the best exam and toughest exam, who has a 0.08% passing ratio. He said you will never get a second chance to make first impression. What kind of resume you really throw into the bin?
Yeah.
Welcome Madelene and Lee to a Suit Up Show, episode 2, especially where we're covering how people can get jobs, and most important discussion sometimes in the people's mind, that what are the tips and tricks and what are the psychological terms which helps them to get their desired or dream job. So firstly, please introduce yourself. So Madelene.
Thank you for having us today. So my name's Madelene Kowitsky, and this is my colleague Lee, and we work together at one of Australia's largest IT recruitment firms, which is across People Bank Australia, and then also our sister company that we work in, which is Leaders IT Consultancy Services. I've worked in tech recruitment for just over 6 years now, and that is how you and I know each other, is helping you into the workforce as well too, and becoming an IT professional. So we've known each other a few years, so it's been a pleasure working with you. My passion is career transition within technology. There's a lot of people really interested to breaking into the space, and it is very difficult, particularly in a tough jobs market right now, to be able to actually get that first chance and have a first break. In my own life, I've had a lot of career transitions. I've worn many different hats. Before I came into tech recruitment about 6 years ago, I was actually working as a pink diamond specialist for Rio Tinto. Wow. Before that, I was working in Gartner, the big IT research firm as well, living in the UK, doing some international work there, mainly in the supply chain side as well. I've worked for tech companies. I've done all sorts of the different things. I've got a marketing background as well too. So I personally have been through a number of different journeys before I ended up in this role, which is how I've ended up so passionate about helping people make big life changes.
Perfect.
Yeah. So my name's Lee Barnes. I'm actually in Sydney. I've been with our business now for about 8 years. Worked across 3 different brands within our business, so Porter Allen, People Bank, and now Leaders IT. Mm-hmm. But my background is actually investment banking.
Oh,
so
that's completely different.
Completely different again. So another transition conversation. So I was working for the likes of Royal Bank of Scotland and Deutsche Bank back in the UK. Nice. And then Credit Suisse here, Singapore and London for them for about 8 years. And within that role, I did 5 different jobs. So moving into the world of recruitment, again, you get to have these wonderful conversations with hiring managers where, you know, they want something and quite specific, and you get to open their eyes and say, well, how about you look at this as something as well? So, but my passion within recruitment is actually within the D&I space. It's very interesting. Again, it's an area that people are trying to target.
Yeah.
But the wonderful thing about working in Leeds IT is that we can actually support people with and we people through that methodology. But yeah, so that's me.
Great. Perfect. So now we have, I think, the perfect pair who can tell me the recruitment side. And I might share something of psychological and neuroscientific side because I think getting a job is not just a skill, it's a human behavior. So if you study and if you know the human behavior and patterns, you can crack the job because cracking a job sometimes it's not just having the correct knowledge. I think it's sometimes having a correct way. So, what do you think? Like, how to find a correct job? So, because if we discuss about jobs, the first stage, I think, is finding a correct job because sometimes people undervalue themselves or overvalue themselves. That's the biggest problem, and that's why they do not get selected. So, before discussing it to any technicality, do you think how crucial the finding a job tag and the process is?
Yeah, it's very tough. I mean, if you look at anyone's career, it's a journey, right? You know, no one really sets out, like I do quite a bit of work outside of already my job here, but like with universities and also some other organizations, one of the things I stand and I sort of say at the very, very beginning is like, okay, put your hands up if you're in a job. Great, you're in a job. Keep your hand up if you're still in the same job or the same sort of role from when you first started when you come out of university. Pretty much most people's hands go down. So again, going through that university type stage and trying to find out what your career is. My daughter's 16, right? And people are already asking her, what do you want to do when you grow up?
Yeah,
and
societal pressure.
Absolutely. And I try and refuse to sort of go down that path. I'm like, do whatever makes you each morning when you wake up saying, I'm going to work, rather than I'm going to work. Like they're two very, very different things. And I think it's not until you start going through your career and you do different sort of milestone tick boxes that you find out what it is that you want as a job and what becomes your passion and how you can target into that.
Yes.
So I think that's the worry thing is like when we do a lot of our recruitment and we talk to candidates, one of the things I turn around and say is, okay, that's great. You tell me what you want to do. But when you go into Seek, as an example, and you've got that search bar, what do you type in?
Yeah, exactly.
That's very important to understand because you might think your job is this, but from what you told me about what your passions and what you enjoy doing from your job, it's different to that.
Correct.
So let's talk about that as an option.
Because I think going depth in that one, because when people search something, they just go to the job title itself. But I think here in Australia, it's called job description. I think that's more necessary to check out because I think there can be one job title and there can be many subset of the job descriptions, right? So job description is the one that people not many focus, So that's what I believe that many people miss the chance is just because of job having lack of information regarding the job they are applying in. And that's why they end up getting refused for the job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it tends to be as well, right? I mean, we've seen this time and time again where a job description will come out to us from a business.
Correct.
And you end up, that's not the job.
Exactly.
But it's what the job description was written 2-3 years ago.
It's not the job anymore. And I also encourage job seekers to view these things as pathways. So, for example, like we're seeing a lot of cybersecurity graduates at the moment coming out and saying, okay, fantastic, like I'm ready for my graduate cybersecurity. And it's a completely oversaturated market. It's really tough competition. And then they get really defeated and then they feel a little bit lost and going, this is my passion and I put all this effort in and for now what? And we often see them just almost giving up and ending up going into a different field because they just needed a job, right? Almost nobody gets a cybersecurity position out the gate. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and say, well, here's some more quite like basic pathways to break you into the field. Go into that company, make your face known, show up to the office, build relationships in the kitchen, figure out who the cyber manager is and how to build like a relationship with them. Show your capabilities. Be willing to do things for that team. Say, wave your hands in the air and say, let me just do a little project. Let me do something like demonstrate your capability And if you do that and show you're proactive, willing to do things after hours, like trying to do anything to work in the team, we've just seen time and time again, that is actually how you end up in the job that you wanted. It's not, I didn't get it, and so what's the point of me getting this degree and doing all of this work?
Exactly.
And then I'm lost. Yeah.
So what do you think? In a practically, let's understand this from an example. Someone who graduated from uni freshly,
Mhm.
how they go, because there are a lot of sites like LinkedIn is there, Seek, Indeed, a lot of sites, a lot of markets are there. So what? Because they have a IT degree, because sometimes they do general information IST degrees. So what should they do? Do they need, because sometimes do they need to define their domain directly, or what?
It will just happen organically. Nobody knows what their passion is until you
Exactly.
start doing it. So you just have to try and try as many things as possible. And whatever you set out to do, you probably won't still be doing.
Right.
So how would you say to approach?
So, look, I mean, one of the big things with people coming out from university
Yep.
is, it's, as I say to them, it's like you're all doing the same studies. What is going to separate you from somebody that's doing the same study as you to go and get your role first place?
Yes.
Go and get the part-time jobs. You need that. Go and do the volunteering side. All of those things, it actually not only does separate you to say what your work ethic is like, it actually builds out your networking skill set as well.
Correct.
So networking is something that is very undervalued as a skill
Yes.
within
Like
any
job fair, they can go to job fairs, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
that-
But there's a website called meetup.com, right? And you can go into there, find what you think is your passion and what you want to be going into. Again, using Maddie's example of cybersecurity. And there's a lot of free events where you can go and just understand what's happening in the real world, because there'll be panelists, very established panelists talking about it.
Yeah.
And then you get to learn off them, and then you get to start building out who it is that you want to be talking to and what businesses are doing different. Because if we go back into what you were saying before about, Google or these companies saying this, that, and the rest of it, there's still a lot of other businesses that are doing some very exciting things in the market that don't get spoken about. So until you start finding out what those people are, that's where your journey starts.
True. So that means they need to more focus on networking part of it rather than just directly straight on applying on the jobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at any sort of graduate style role which is coming out, and you try and imagine how many people are applying for the same position. It's only a very select few that are getting into those opportunities.
Yeah.
So there's got to be another pathway.
And we don't even advertise a lot of them, to be honest, because we've already got such large pools of people that we've worked with, have had referrals is going to be absolutely massive. We just get swamped when we do release graduate roles. So sometimes we do, but most jobs are never land on Seek. They're never advertised. Your opportunities will come from, I went to this event, and it's not your immediate network, but it's your referral of your referral. It's your, your LinkedIn
Yes.
second and third degree connections comparison. That is actually where the opportunity lies. So just keep an open mind. And a lot of really successful grads that we've seen went out and got it themselves, which is figure out what kind of industries, companies, things like that. Ideally SMEs, because they're a lot more open to
Hands-on.
being approachable. Figure out what is a problem you could solve for them. So instead of asking, can I come and get work experience, do my capstone project, me, think about what value you can add to them. Maybe I can give you some data analytics and some insights to your business. I can give you some dashboards. What is a problem I could solve for you? Can I come and do that for you? Yeah. If you frame it of what could you fix for them, and you've really genuinely considered that before reaching out, and then from there, being able to demonstrate your capabilities and your interests, they develop a personal attachment to you as well too. You're not just another number. And then that's where it can all begin.
But I think sometimes, while the time of approaching people needs to learn some skills here, because I think those kind of people who needs to go to these kind of job fair and networking event, that means they are fresher, and that also means they have some communication barriers for sure. Because I have seen many people on the job career fairs that people don't know how to pitch. People don't know how to talk to company professionals in a way that the company professionals are interested. Because sometimes, in the neuroscience, there is a rule that it's related to interview as well. It's related to our networking as well. Usually, human mirror the state. Means right now, if I'm looking nervous, then as a part of a recruiter or interviewer or as a company employee, I'm nervous. And if I'm being confident, in some point, I will deliver that state to the person. And it's a researched thing. So do you think they should also practice how to approach people?
Absolutely. I think it's something that should be taught at universities.
Exactly.
There's projects that people do, that's one side. But networking is something very, very different to just doing a project and being able to speak through.
Yeah.
Seeing a few events where, there's obviously questions from the audience type thing coming in, you can tell someone who's been in that scenario and spoken about before. But I do remember one quite specifically where somebody was saying, well, I can't get a job. How can I get a job? And the actual whole panel wasn't about that. The panel itself was actually about cybersecurity.
Exactly.
Again. And so I actually said to the person at the end, I said, look, I can see your frustration. I said, but do you think to get that person interested in talking to you after the event, that was the right question? Probably not.
No.
What I would suggest is next time you go to a networking event, do your research on the panelists, work out which one you want to talk to afterwards, and you get the opportunity to ask a question from the audience, ask an insightful question about their job, about them as an individual. And I can tell you straight away that person will come and talk to you afterwards. But again, if you're not being told that, or you're not being taught that, it's a different skill to learn.
Yeah, and additionally that I would also curious to share one more tool, which is AI tool. I want to discuss more on an AI segment of our podcast. But there are a lot of tools that people can use and, maximize their opportunities, because I think it's very necessary. People are more smarter right now. But they are not researching it correctly. When you have a lot of tools, when you have a lot of resources to use them correctly, that's what going to be a biggest issue for many people. So that's the problem. So first, networking, we just sorted down. Now, second most important job aspect part is resume, because that's the second step. Because now let's say you want to go to cybersecurity, SOC analyst, or anything. Now the major part comes under resume, which I think 98% of the people, whether they are on engineering, healthcare, any blue collars, anything, I think resume is the one, is a tiebreaker or major decider. So what do you think about resumes?
I think your resume, what the right answer is depends on what job you're going for. So if you're going for marketing, creative industries, UI, UX, different things like that, where it's about showcasing personality and flair, do a beautiful Canva resume, do things with the bars of capabilities and all of those kind of things. The jury's still out on having photos on resumes. That's still a controversial topic.
Oh.
I don't have an opinion either which way. But if you're going for creative industries type role, I do think that is an opportunity to showcase personality. And also I would expect in that type of resume that you do have a portfolio attached to it. So digital portfolio links is people want to be able to see some of those things, a personal website. If you're going for a technical role, engineering, IT, these types of things, no beautiful resume whatsoever, but a classic ATS, Harvard, extremely clear communication. So there's plenty of templates available of the ATS standard formatting.
Yes.
But essentially what you want to communicate is your top key skills and bullet points, technical skills, a brief summary about what your career is. Within your actual resume, use the star format, and you want to describe what the situation was. We really just want to hear what's the scale, like how big was the team that you're working in, what's the context here, and then what did you actually achieve? Because from a lot of times you can actually just tell from a job title what you did. So what was the point? Like what did you achieve in the role? And then beyond that, we want to see a bit of, again, illustration by describing in a project section. And if you're a graduate, you're not going to have the commercial experience really listed on your CV. So the people whose graduate CVs really stand out is how well that they've explained what did you do in your capstone project, and you laid that out as if it was a job title and really illustrate that experience. Did you have a link to anything that you can actually show us about that? And then that's where your other piece comes into. I volunteered at this event. I am part of this active meetup community. I've seen people get jobs. I know someone who was headhunted by Atlassian, which is where everybody wants to work, because she had laid out in her LinkedIn her passion projects, and she had links to game development that she's done. And they went, well, this is someone who's doing this for fun.
Yeah.
And that's the things that people stand out from. So if you just do a really classic resume, that is what employers look like. And often recruitment agencies themselves have got to upload resumes into a portal. It strips out everything, or they've got to put their cover sheets, their formatting. You lose all of that beauty by the time that it lands in front of the client as well. Yeah. What would you say?
Yeah, I think absolutely agree. The other thing that I always try and say to people to avoid is it's very easy to become lazy when trying to write a resume. And you got to take your time. It's your piece of paper that says, this is who I am.
Correct.
And the amount of resumes that we see where it's just a copy and paste from their job description that they was given.
Nowadays, mostly AI generated.
And
absolutely.
It's basic.
ChatGPT, we can just read it a mile off. It doesn't. It's just business words. They're just buzzwords. It's not a human communicating to you. You can they're interchangeable. We want to see the human
but
side.
But now intelligent fellow, they go to ChatGPT saying, write a professional summary. Then they go another chat like AI, which says, humanize this text, which again, they're using the false structure. Yes. So they think by doing a humanize, that means they are just cracking something humanized.
And that's okay. If it comes across and the end product is humanized, absolutely fine with that if you use those tools.
That thing humanize, that AI is converting them to the human. So means humanize means your personal intellect. I mean, how come they mirror your personal intellect? They can help you to give a structure. Yes. But sometimes people do copy and paste.
They can only use the content that you put in. So if you put the effort in to writing your CV well, and you had what communicates, and then you plug that in, say, into a ChatGPT model, you'll get a better result out of that model because you have got it infused with your personality. So we're not against it whatsoever. I just want it to read different than the other 50 I'm reading right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Especially while the people doesn't have the extraordinary experience, then it's important to think on a resume. If you have a 5 years plus experience, do anything. There's a couple of prompts on ChatGPT, write it down and they will write it. Even ChatGPT have a Canva plugin now, so they can actually make a beautiful resume. Regarding ATS, like forming ATS special, they do every research for you. But if people doesn't have at least a 3 or 5 years experience, I don't think that will stand out at all. Because what ChatGPT thinks nothing, because you don't have any experience.
It's not trying to pull from like the other things that we're talking about, building out your CV.
So that's the way. And there's a funny, I mean, I've researched a lot about resume patterns. There are two cases. If you are applying in SMEs or big corporates like KPMG, Capgemini, PwC, and a lot of big fours, and Google, Microsoft, for sure, these ones. There are two categories. One is applying on the normal companies. The one is actually targeting the elites of the market. One guy has no experience at all. He applied in LinkedIn for a job. What he did is he did not choose to design his resume to a standard form like a Harvard ATS-friendly resume. He actually copied the LinkedIn theme. So, what the LinkedIn About Us section, he converted that to his resume.
Gotcha.
And they got so impressed that actually it hooked people, whoever watched it. I mean, it can backfire as well, but if you know your company is that big to show some creativity, then people are using this kind of techniques and they actually working it.
I would also say on LinkedIn, I know it sounds so obvious, but put some effort into it, putting a good photo up, because you have to just think when you see that photo, that first 7-second impression.
Yes.
would I want to sit next to this person every day? Do they look friendly? Do they look over serious? Are they looking down at the camera in a car? Like, how many times do we see that?
Yes.
Do I want to sit next to this person? And how do I look friendly and approachable that you can call me?
So there is that's the exact research. So the average resume or attention, 7 seconds of attention rule. It's backed up by resume psychology. The average impressions of first 7 seconds last for the whole hiring process. Means if they're either visiting your LinkedIn profile or meeting you on the interview panel, maybe sometimes two teams are different. Whoever seeing your or doing the due diligence on a LinkedIn and who is interviewing, sometimes they are different. But the first impression thing literally plays a vital role, because I've seen some people who either doesn't have a photographs on LinkedIn.
That's the worst offender.
That is
the worst offender.
And second, those who have a photographs but very casual, like their Instagram profile,
Yes.
having barbecue in South Perth. I can put it in Instagram, but no, I don't think for LinkedIn, right? Many people think it's cool, but it really not.
Or catfishing from 10 years ago.
Yeah, either you'll use the same chat GPT saying, crop this face and make me wear suit and just make a
you can do
portrait.
it.
Just do it. Otherwise, if nothing works, this works sometimes,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why many people have some weird photographs for sure. And then they said, what's wrong? I said, your profile picture is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like a passport style photo.
It doesn't, but just
give that
do I look
professionalism.
do I look friendly and professional? That's all.
That's what it needs.
Yeah, people can look friendly, but for sure not professional.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So that's the resume stuff that we want to cover, and especially mention your USP, because whatever you're going to write on a resume, that means you are curating your 70% of interview, because people will read and ask the questions. That's how it should be, right? General recruiters spend almost 32 seconds on a resume, and they will almost 58% they will decide whether I'm going to hire this or not. They already make their minds before you entering into the room.
I can tell you one now. If it's over 20 pages long, that's a red flag.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's disheartening because there is just so many people looking in the jobs market right now. It is incredibly difficult, and I would just say to people, chin up if it's not happening. It's taking a long time for everybody right now. The Australian economy is in a really difficult jobs market. We are seeing a massive offshoring cycle. Unfortunately, right now it's very disappointing. It is disheartening. So all I can say is if it's taking a long time, which it probably will, just stay active in your community. Go to the meetups. Go to anything that you can do to be connected, and that is how things will come. If you've been prepared, if you've showed up well dressed, if you seem approachable, then you're in the best possible position to
Absolutely.
to try and find something.
But I really want to ask this question now, because as a recruiters, right, what kind of resume you really throw into the bin? Just like, I know it takes 5 or 8 seconds for sure to you to throw out.
Someone is just applying clearly for any job on SEEK. Like so for example, all day, every day, we get inbound requests for people looking for construction jobs and things like that. When if you Googled us for 2 seconds, you could see that we're an IT recruitment agency, and we'll get those kind of applications on jobs. Now, so say someone's a construction site worker, but they've written a description to me and maybe a cover letter explaining that actually I'm trying to career transition into this, that this wasn't a mistake, that I applied for this job.
Yeah.
That will make us pause. And if they've, again, within that resume demonstrated, like, here's some things that I've done to try and do that, that's the difference between a construction site worker resume that we'll consider and someone we would have thrown in the bin immediately because they haven't. It just looks like they've applied for any job online at all.
So you read mostly the professional summary and decide?
A professional summary is really important when you're career transitioning. That's where you describe your motivations. Professional summary and projects and volunteering and other work. When the commercial experience is lacking, I would say that that's what I'm looking for in grads as well. What would you say?
No, I think exactly that point. It is taking that extra time to put together your CV to make it look not only just professional, but also give us an assistance to help you find the right role. Just because you've applied for job A and we don't think you're right for job A doesn't mean that we're not going to look at you for job
that all the
B.
time.
That's one of our colleagues has, for example. You know, we can make sure that covers in, but without understanding the motivators as to why people are looking. And it's also, if you go back to, you know, sort of performance reviews at the end of the year, if we use Macquarie for an example, and when they do their performance reviews, they're not interested in what you did as a group. They're interested in what you did as the individual within that group.
Correct.
So your CV's got to read the same. It's your personal opportunity to turn around and say, I did this, I did that, and this is how I contributed within our team. That's the sort of things that you want to see as a resume. Otherwise, we're just going to be saying, well, if you work together in that team, how do we know that you didn't just coast through that?
Exactly.
You know.
And seniors who've got a one-page resume. So when you don't have the commercial experience,
one page.
we want to see detail. Like, please don't send us a one-page CV. I want to see in that job that you just worked at for the last 5 years. Give me some information here. Were you working with particular technical tools, or what was the project, or something here? We often see, because people are trying so hard to cram it onto one page, we get no information. And again, what am I supposed to do with this?
For that, it's easier. I have a 3 bullet point theory. Like whatever experience you have, might work on volunteer or anything, write 3 bullet points. Even if you're adding your educational experience, write 3 points. What are the takeaways from your degree? Because there is no point of knowing that you have done your master's from XYZ university, but that gives me nothing.
It doesn't share anything. Yeah, that's where the projects piece and expanding on giving some illustration on what that you did comes down to be critical. So
so having 3 points of each, which justifies your each and every task which you mentioned in a resume. So it will anyway gets lengthier when you try to explain things, because most of the time people thinks more on writing up the executive summary than the experience part, but they don't really care about education part at all. Sometimes doesn't matter, but I think it does matter, because whatever you have done, you should have your own reflection on it. And that's very impressive part. Sometimes it can be a tiebreaker again.
Absolutely. And I think with that as well, the one thing that a lot of people forget within their education piece, you've been in that for 3 years, 4 years, been doing that whole process through. Don't tell me that you didn't join a club. You know, you wasn't part of something, a study or something else. Like, we want the CV to go from 2D to 3D.
Correct.
You know, we need that value in there to be able to know, because not only are we trying to find, you know, the right technical fit for our clients, we're also trying to find the right cultural fit. And if someone's going above and beyond on different things, we know when we actually have those relationships with the hiring community, we know what they're going to be looking for. Then we know that they really enjoy people. Say for someone who's doing sort of networking, for example, they like someone who's got a home lab. You know, they've been doing the extra stuff. That's their hobby.
Yes.
Those things we want to know.
That's the hobbies that they're looking for. And also I love to see like hobbies and interests on CV. Yeah. It helps them. You got to remember these managers are looking for icebreakers too when they meet you. So Ashes are on today. So you like cricket, I like cricket. Well, that gives us a good opener here to talk about.
Maybe they're finding a extra team player.
Yeah, I think we might need one.
But sometimes this is the last question on resume for sure. In today's language, what is the biggest red flag for you in the resume, and what are the one thing for each of you like which impress straight on?
I want to see a resume match a LinkedIn profile. I think in this day and age, we more often than you would think, we will get a resume describing someone with all of this experience and X job titles, and then they have a LinkedIn that has different employers on different dates, different locations and different responsibilities, and then we go, hang on, what's the mismatch here? Think about that, and if you're willing to put it publicly, then we believe that is true as a default. And if they don't have a profile when they are in the market actively looking and it doesn't reflect what a CV is, that's a huge red flag off the get-go. Yeah. Validation is what we're looking for.
What is the thing which impress you straight on?
You can answer this one. Yeah.
That's all right. So,
Yeah.
well, I was just going to go back onto the other piece as well. The other one for me is someone who we call it hopping jobs quite often. So if someone's in a job for 2 months, 3 months here, like that's fine because there are jobs out there that, you know, need someone to come in for 2 or 3
Projects
months.
doing
Absolutely.
implementation.
To be honest, they are just doing for better pay.
Yeah.
They're
it.
very straight. I mean, if why I should hop the job, right? Just before 3 months of getting an offer letter, because someone is paying me better, for sure. This is the first psychological reason, because they are getting more pay.
And this is also the reason that overqualified people are really struggling in the market as well. Say you're a digital transformation person, someone really high level, and you're going for a project manager, 2-3 rungs below, and they go, but I can do a project manager, and we go, you won't get selected because the second that another job comes up that is at your level, you're a human, you're going to leave. And whether or not that's true, that'll be the manager's perception that you won't get stickiness with this person if they're massively overqualified for roles.
Yes. And I want to say this in resume, which we just discussed. One more point to left over. And I want to really discuss that people should know what is ATS, which is Application Tracking System. Why ATS needs in this picture? Because right now, there are a lot of people applying in one job. Let's say there is a business analyst job. There are 5,000 people who applied it. Now, this is a research again. 98% of the company in the whole world, not just Australia, anywhere, any industry, if you are from healthcare, if you are from engineering, if you are from any blue collar job, 98% company and recruitment agencies use ATS system. Now, what is ATS system is they usually, let's say 5,000, again, people applied on business analyst job. They software scrutinize the resume. So let's say 5,000, let's say first cut is 5,000 to 500. So that is ATS system does. ATS system now backed by AI. Now they take keywords from your resume, from your professional summary and your experience. AI decides if keyword doesn't match, if the software cannot read your resume properly, then 100% you are not getting selected, no matter if you are having experience from Accenture or any big company. So what is it is very simple. People can go to website, find the ATS-friendly templates. They can literally download the ATS templates. Very easy, but each and every industry should have a research about what is ATS. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's why I think it's very, very important that when people are taking the time to put their resumes together is to reread it. Because, we're all utilizing Word or whatever it might be using to write the CV. There's that many different tech stacks or software tools which are not within the dictionary that is on the system.
Yeah.
And it automatically changes. And so we've got to be aware that there are these tool sets out there that are screening resumes just on keyword searches.
Yeah.
And if that word has been changed because it's not a regular word, but that one is maybe say Red Hat, for example, and it's been changed for some reason to Red Hatch or something like that, and they thought it's the wrong wording, it's really important to make sure that's right.
Exactly.
And also on LinkedIn, take the time to put in the keyword sections about what your skills are. Do fill out the skills sections because recruiters, internal recruiters, agencies are headhunting for a lot of the roles.
Yes.
And if you don't have it, you won't show up in the search matching. Yeah.
So that's very important, especially optimizing LinkedIn profile is a skill. There are a lot of workshops. If people are clueless about how to manage LinkedIn profile, they can do two things. Either attend the workshop, learn the organic way how to do this. Otherwise, mirroring means, again, you find a person who is in the same field doing really well, mirror his profile. At least by mirroring with the common sense, will add them to a most credibility they are finding for.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's the other thing as well is because people don't know how it looks on the recruiter side.
Exactly.
They just see LinkedIn as it is as a public profile view and think that's fine.
It's a search tool.
It's an absolute search tool for us.
It is a search tool. Yeah. It's validation for us. Is this true? And can we search for it?
Yeah.
And recruiters can a lot of other too, because you guys have more advanced tool to see people's
Yeah.
information, so they should not
We've
think
got
in a way.
back-end visibility that public
Exactly.
profiles don't have access to.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that runs on a keyword as well. So, even people say when you're setting up the profile, you say there are some job section, there is a section that you may be strong fit for it. How do they know? Because of your profile. So optimizing your LinkedIn is essential in this world, where if people are watching from anywhere in the globe, it's necessary for all the countries, not just Australia. And any industries for sure. So yeah, that's most important thing. We already talked about ATS. Now let's go to my favorite topic, and most screwed topic ever.
Yeah.
Interview. I mean, I'm very interested for this topic for today, for sure. Now this is the last step, because now people are already scrutinized from their profile, resume. They've done every single thing, but interview is the most important part when it comes to decision phase. I mean, it starts from you come to the room and, for first 10 seconds, done. Your interview is finished. The rest is just a formality. What do you think? Do you agree on this?
I think it's very important the way that somebody portrays themselves in that first instance, as you say. So for that, there has to become a lot of preparation beforehand.
Yeah.
If you're going in, you mentioned before, obviously, in the way you can come across as a confident individual, if you know what you're going to be talking about, and you know your CV back to front, and you know the business that you're going to be actually applying for, going into an interview for, you should be going in with your shoulders back and you're feeling very confident to be able to go in. The piece for us that I always talk to people, because obviously interviews have now changed quite significantly from being face-to-face to being online.
Online, yep.
Treat both of them exactly the same. You should turn up the same way to a Zoom interview or a Teams interview the way that you would do face-to-face. You dress the same, you provide eye contact the same, you also use your hands for gestures and being able to move things around. All of that is the piece that they're going to be looking for.
Show up early and
Yes.
test the tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a small change. If the interview's at 2:30, show up at 2:20, do a testing 1, 2, 3, make sure there's no issues, and then you can drop off again. Yep.
Correct. Yeah, that's why even for online interview, there are a lot of test environment that you can actually test that your system is okay, you're compatible, or your voice is audible, or your camera is visible. Sometimes
Enough
software
charge in your laptop. Is your laptop plugged in? We see that one all the
Oh,
time.
yes.
My charge is running out. Yeah.
that's the way. That's why I still like the face-to-face interview a lot. That's my personal
We do
opinion.
too.
Yeah.
Most people do. Wherever possible, you can make a better human connection. It's a better interview generally if it's face to face.
And if people is liking the online interview, that means they are very introvert for sure. I mean, that's the case that I think after COVID, if possible, offline interviews should be prioritizing more. Many companies does, like literally Microsoft does, and Accenture does, because they just opened the center in Perth.
Yeah.
Now, they want people to come to their office and talk to them, like a panel interview. The world's biggest exam still supporting the offline version of the interviews, because they want to see the people, because energy,
Yes.
understand on online, you cannot sense the energy, or maybe you might know 30-40%, but energy, what I'm giving to you or you are giving to me,
it's not
that's
the same.
the real, and that's what I think.
But also, I would say love for the introverts. This is something that will not come naturally, and it's really difficult. You can work at it. It is a skill like anything else. And often we're looking for introverts for the types of things that we work for. It can genuinely be a competitive advantage. Just depends on the role that you're going for. Recruiter, probably not the job for you. But
Yes.
developer, like things we're looking for, attention to detail, or if you're the kind of person that loves putting your headphones on and get stuck into it, if that's the job you're going for, we know that the interviews will be different. And if the manager is a technical person, they're expecting something different as well. However, if you're an introvert and you're going into that kind of role and you prepared so much and you practiced, and you smiled and you made a human connection, you're probably going to wipe clean those other people that you went up against who probably didn't do that well on the personal side.
Okay, that's my favorite topic. Now, according to the psychology and neuroscience, introvert people have, this is researched, so I'm not making anyone hurt here. Their thinking ability is 28% more than the rest.
Job performance. Yeah.
Exactly. So they can analyze anyone.
Mhm.
If it is situation, if it is a people, they can analyze much better than the normal people. Because I'm one of the introvert person back in the days. I know you won't agree with that. You won't agree with this, but no. So because I'm choosing the complete opposite career option. So anyways, but I think their inner world is much more and bigger, but it's a learning curve for them. Because of COVID, we are giving a security to many of people, right? But this online meeting is just because some external possibilities to avoid them. Maybe you're in a different town, different city, different country, anything. Online interviews are still best, but for introvert people, I think they can, if they work on it, they can be the top 1% candidate for
exactly. Sure. Absolutely. The performance side of things, everything. So you will stand out still. It doesn't come naturally for everybody, but if you put the work in on that, it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is a lot of people, as we sort of spoke about before, they're getting a lot of interviews, but maybe not getting the role.
Correct.
As long as you can reflect back on the job interview that you just did, what did I do well? Where could I improved? Practice those things. And if you are able to get feedback from the manager that actually interviewed you, they're great. You don't always get feedback. Even we don't get feedback often.
We'll try hard for people, but
we need to be able to give someone the right
particularly our best chance of getting feedback is after someone's interviewed. We don't always even get it then, which is so disheartening. We also just do not have the capacity to give people job application feedback after they've been submitted for a role or applied for a role, because we just don't receive it
ourselves.
We don't receive it ourselves, so I don't have anything.
But I think the biggest things, like the biggest value adds that we do from working with individuals before they interview, is that we will try and give people the interview preparation if they require it. You know, some people are quite comfortable and, outgoing enough to be able to say, no, I think I'm going to be okay. But a lot of people don't realise the benefit of an interview preparation before going in. Again, it is us drilling down. What did you know? What do you know about the company?
Yes.
What do you know about the role? Why are you going for this? Those sort of things.
I've given you the project information and you can't recite it back to me. Go away and practice it. Like it's hard truths if you're doing interview preparation. But also having someone advocate you. This is where I was saying about the referrals piece.
Yes.
Having someone advocate you makes a huge difference. Now, that can be a recruitment agency, be your advocate wherever possible. It's not always possible. Or the referral piece of someone completely disconnected, but they know the manager as a friend or something like that. It's just the footing that you've got off on is completely different. So when we're able to speak to managers, which we're not always able to, I always love to speak to them and say, okay, this is this person's story and this is why I think you'll like them, and making the human description. I'll tell them before they read through the CVs so that they've got that in their mind about why I like this guy and why I liked her.
Yeah, that's what I was reading about hiring psychology. They're saying exact thing which you have said. Author is saying if you have a reference, either the recruitment and any reference, right? And interpersonal, intrapersonal, anything. If you have a reference in your resume or you have a proper reference in a way that they can actually know what your skill set are and they can put a word for you, that will lead 30% more chances. And it's in every industry, just not IT, of course. There are a lot of industry, referencing is the only source to work. And there are some big companies I know, especially Meta. Then Meta is the one, they have a very huge referencing game. So they actually organize some events to make the referrals, and they can actually lead the biggest job in their career. So referencing is very big thing for the interview. But I just want to discuss about the people come when the first 10 second of the interview, right? When people actually coming in a room, making their first impression. Here, let me give you the. Say, I think we discussed in our previous meeting as well that people think look doesn't matter. And let me be very clear, in psychology and neuroscience, people might not be happy with this, but look does matter in terms of relationship, in terms of job. This is hard truth, and we need to accept this. Looks does matters, because it's saying, I'm not saying it completely leads to any end point, but look matters for, it gives 33% of unbiased decision making ability. That so, and look by mean not you should be a fair person, or no, it's you have to be well groomed at least.
Be overdressed. Always go on the side of overdressed. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I came from the investment banking side.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, when I sort of grew up, I was always saying, you know, when you are talking about what career you're going to be doing as a child,
Yeah.
I was like, any career where I don't have to wear a suit. And what job did I get? A banking where I had to wear a
The
suit.
only job
That's-
I wanted is one where I have to wear a suit and heels.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I saw the dress and I went, that's what I want to wear to work.
No,
Yeah.
I was the
You were the
opposite.
other way around. Yeah.
And so
I'm the same person.
Yeah.
I wanted to
I
wear a
want
suit.
to. I want to look like that. I want to be that person. Whatever I'm doing in that office, I don't know, but that's what I want to do.
And it kind of went to the point, and I understood then, like once I started and I was working with those type of individuals within that realm, how important and how powerful coming up and being presentable every day to your job.
People treat you differently.
100%.
People should watch Suits for this, and that's the best example why the dressing matters, because sometimes you're representing their company, so your dressing, your style, your grooming, everything represents their company. So the more big opportunity, more big company, 100% your dressing must be the part, grooming must be the key factor to decide anything. I mean, I'm not agreeing that Microsoft or any big companies in IT or any big hospitals or any big blue collar companies hire anyone who doesn't focus on grooming, because that's the important part. How you carry yourself, that's the most important part that I want to discuss. And that's why in my podcast, I'm dying to say this, that look does matter, guys. Please focus on that.
Absolutely.
And posture.
And posture.
Shoulders
Exactly.
back, stand tall. Yeah.
There was a girl that I used to work
Polish
with
your
before, and she sort of turned around, and I remember her saying to somebody
Yeah.
when she was doing the interview preparation,
Yeah.
she said, when you're going in, just pretend or imagine like going to practice in your bedroom first in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
And sit how you would sit, and you'll make slight adjustments already because you'll be seeing how you portray yourself. And imagine you've got like a massive rod going down the back of your shirt, and now make you sit
Ballerina
upright.
stance.
Absolutely. And so it's all those little tips and tricks as to how that you would then change yourself.
And that's now there is one more trick for many of psychologists, the doctors use this to judge people. I mean, many recruiters know everything, because your posture of sitting like this, which shows your chest inside, this shoulder just bit outside, means you have a lack of confidence. You're nervous, and maybe you have a lack of preparation. Now people understand, but naturally, if you have a confidence, if you prepared well, your chest is on outside, your posture are more open, your hands are not like this. I mean, it's okay to have one or two times, but most of the time, while the time of explaining, people use their hand gestures, they do eye contact well. That shows that people are more open and prepared to answer. And many recruiters knows this, that because of course they're meeting every day. I mean, every day you meet like how many countless people, right? So you will know that this person actually has the ability to answer and face the difficult situation.
Again, though, I think that comes across with the confidence in your own ability.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when we kind of go back into it, is what we spoke about before, is knowing your CV back to front, knowing yourself back to front. Because there's always going to be an opportunity.
The more you've prepared,
Yeah.
the more confident you'll be.
Because there's always going to be a side style question from an interviewer that's going to throw you off guard. And so you've got to be prepared for that. And if you're prepared for that because you know yourself and you know, okay, well, how can I've maybe not done that directly, but how can I then change and use another example to bring it back in? That's
And also do say a couple of negative things about yourself is what I will say, because
Oh, yes. Prepare for that.
you come across more honest, because we are not perfect people. So it's better to actually 1 or 2 times in your interview say, it's not my strength doing this. Or if they ask you, say, a technical question or something, you say, look, I've only got pretty foundational knowledge of this. I'm more of a specialist in this. While it sounds like, oh, I'll be marked down for that, actually you've presented yourself as an honest person, and it validates your other answers about what you've said about your skills capability. And my tip for preparing about the inevitable question, which is what is your weakness?
Yep.
We all have one. Do not say I'm a perfectionist. It's just not true. Nobody believes that answer.
Perfectionist.
Think genuinely and say an answer that is not relevant to the job that you're going for as a top skill. So, for example, bad at maths. Not as you can ask ask my boss. Just doesn't interest me. I was not destined to be an accountant, and I just be truthful about that and just say, look, I need to work for personal development, focusing on my forecasting and my financials, and that is true. But you frame it in a way of, I need to work on this, not I am bad at this. And then they'll consider me relative to that position and go, we're actually not hiring for an accountant. We're hiring for a people person. Do we think they'd be good in front of people? But I have said a truthful answer.
So I think that's a very good tip, that interviews are never about ideal answers. So I think ideal answer is equal to complexity. It's so complex to become ideal. As a human, people have, people tend to make mistakes. They do have weaknesses, but they don't just know how to frame those. Like the STAR approach for answering in interviews is the best approach for now. It's best researched answering method, you can say, the situation, task, action, and results. So the STAR approach is the best approach for sure. And this weakness is very better answer. I mean, you just not, if you're being too honest about what's your weakness, but also let them know how you overcome them. That's more important, because having awareness about your own weakness is important, as well as the steps to overcome them is equally important as well.
And also don't say negative traits about yourself as a weakness or a hobby. I know this sounds crazy, but I just had someone interview, and the interviewer was trying to connect with them and say, what do you like to do on your free time? And he said, oh, I'm just really lazy. I like to just lounge around and watch movies and not do much. And perception of that person shifted immediately from not I'm a hard worker, I'm a go-getter, I do things, to at their core they're a lazy person.
Yes.
And it was something about his personal life, but it immediately changed his perception. So don't say traits like lazy and things like that, even when talking about unrelated to your work ethic, because it does bleed.
And I think being lazy is not a weakness. It's a choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a choice. So being lazy, sometimes I feel the people who are too busy, sometimes, they don't answer. They said, okay, I'm not being too professional. I cannot answer mails or text. To be honest, no one is that busy who cannot revert you back in 48 or 72 hours, for sure. No one, because they don't want to give you an answer. That's a different thing. But psychologically, 72 hours, if you're being genuinely busy, but to how, in this era, what's the time to answer someone?
Yeah. Well, as someone once told me before, a quick email to say back and say, I've seen your email, I'll get back to you, is much better than not replying for 5 days.
Yeah, 100%. So and also while they dress up, they greet people. I've read a beautiful quote. I mean, literally it's on your papers as well. I've loved that quote. It's from the army. There's a lieutenant general who wrote the book because he cracked the best exam and toughest exam, who has a 0.08% passing ratio. He said, you will never get a second chance to make first impression. It's so powerful and it's so depth that you will not gonna get second chance to make a first impression, and that first impression lasts for, I think, for forever. What's the final quote for you guys that if you want to guide anyone from the last tips?
For me, it's being resilient. at the moment, especially in this current market. You know, you've got to be able to sort of bounce back, try again, learn from your errors that you've made in a job interview, or relook at it and go, I've put my CV this many times and I'm still not getting feedbacks. Is it me or is it my CV? What can I change? Yeah. So move with that shift. And then also, if you're looking at different roles, it's okay to tailor your CV to that specific role. So you just got to be forever evolving, forever changing.
So my colleague and I always have a quote, which is, everything that you ever wanted is on the other side of fear. And I really believe that.
Yes.
It is scary to put yourself out there and get rejected again and again. To cold call trying to get an internship placement, to try and do these things, to be rejected a million times as you approach people on LinkedIn. But the more you do it, the less it fades you. It makes you more resilient, and the thing that you want is on the other side. That's what it takes to get there. And the more you go to networking events, the more you put yourself out there, all of that feeds back into that posture you've got that sits in the interview about how much you believe in yourself.
And that's what I like for all the talks we have just done. It says there is one more thing, that when our achievement has metrics, it converts to a truth, not claim. So, I mean, people needs to focus more on how to present themselves, especially being on an interview. And if you guys want to suggest any single book or any video from any perspective for our audience, any book or any...
I'll tell you what, I do know a couple, but not off the top of my head, I'll share them with you so you can maybe put the link to them afterwards. Sure, because... yeah, there is a couple out there which are really good.
Yes, it was really great, experience, because my resume, I used to know those techniques and I used to write. I used to talk to you guys a lot about how I can get. And it's a first attempt. I think from People Bank, I think I first applied from Clough. And
it took 2 goes.
It took 2 goes because
but you were resilient. Yeah.
Yes. But
you
and then
resilient.
I get the call from when they suddenly and says, "Are you ready to work?" I said, "Why not?" And it was Clough's journey has been really great, and from especially People Bank, and I specifically like the CUISP program.
Yeah.
The CFIA assessments and all, because it's very, very important for any technical people who's working on an industry, and the handhold support which I've got, which I really meant.
Oh, fantastic.
Great for it.
So some feedback for you about, having worked with you before. There was so much competition like we have in our Capacity Uplift, because it's not just a job, it's a total wraparound solution with mentorship, with technical assessments, with upskilling. So a lot of people trying to go for those type of roles. You were so proactive in the recruitment process. You followed up. You demonstrated to us hard work by the amount of additional responsibilities that you took on at Optus, which were outside of your description, that you just put your hand up and you were trying to gain that experience, and you went out there and you got it yourself.
Yeah.
And so demonstrating hard work, willingness to try anything, to do whatever needs to be done. You were well prepared in your interview as well too, and you'd clearly communicated in your CV. So all of those things together, the combination, even though you hadn't, worked in this field before, we thought this company hires off gumption. They're hiring off attitude and willing to train, and those are the intangible traits we were looking for.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you guys, for sure. And how you feel about the podcast? What's your experience?
You've done such an amazing job.
Yeah, I love it. Great.
It's such a great form.
I can't believe that you told me you was an introvert.
That's what I said. Look where we're sitting. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want to do, especially the job market, help people to understand the job. It's really a skill that people can learn and make themselves better. Maybe they take 1 or 2 takeaways and implement them right now. Maybe they can change the decision. Hopefully, and they can always contact you guys. I'll put your details on the description for sure.
Yeah. No,
so thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
doing
for your
this.
time. It's been such a pleasure, and it's been a pleasure to work with you as well. Yeah.
Likewise. Thank you. Thanks a lot.